Hi everybody, my name is Sydney and I did my project on classic phenylketonuria. So what is phenylketonuria? Phenylketonuria, which is also known as PKU, is an inherited metabolic disorder, and when left untreated, it can lead to some severe central nervous system impairments such as intellectual disabilities, seizures, and brain damage. PKU is a result of the body's inability to break down an amino acid called phenylalanine, and when this phenylalanine is unable to be broken down, it reaches levels that become toxic to our bodies. There are 4 types of PKU: hyperphenylalaninemia, mild PKU, variant PKU, and the most severe form, which is what I'll be talking about today, which is called classic PKU. All right, so some symptoms of untreated PKU. These include a musty odor in the breath, skin, or urine, and this is due to the elevated phenylalanine levels. Neurological problems including seizures, skin rashes, fair skin and light eyes, and this is because phenylalanine can't transform into melanin, which is responsible for the pigmentation of our hair and skin. They can also have microcephaly, which is an abnormally small head, delayed development, and behavioral, emotional, and social problems. So for the history of the disease, PKU was first discovered in 1934 by the Norwegian physician Dr. Asbjørn Folling, where it was first termed the Folling's disease. He first discovered the abnormal presence of phenylpyruvic acid in the urine of 2 of his patients with mental disabilities that had unknown causes. And through loading experiments in both animals and humans, he was able to discover that a block in phenylalanine metabolism was the source of the phenylpyruvic acid in their urine. So phenylalanine is an essential amino acid. So what is an essential amino acid? First off, an amino acid is amino acids are molecules that build proteins, and therefore they play critical roles in almost every bodily function. Essential amino acids are those that our bodies are unable to produce themselves, and therefore they must be obtained through our diets. Phenylalanine is found in many protein-containing foods, and these include foods such as meat, fish, poultry, dairy, and nuts. PKU. So what exactly is happening to those who have PKU? So we know that PKU is a result of having toxic levels of phenylalanine in our bodies, but why is this the case? Those who have PKU have a mutated gene causing an enzyme called phenylalanine hydroxylase to be missing or less efficient than it should be. This enzyme's job is to convert the phenylalanine we get from the foods we eat and convert it into tyrosine, which is another amino acid that our body uses. This tyrosine that is made is then used by our central nervous system, acting as an essential component for the production of brain chemicals such as neurotransmitters. These neurotransmitters are our chemical messengers that are used by our central nervous system and are important for both brain development and function. When this process is disrupted, we see high levels of phenylalanine and low levels of tyrosine in the body. So how do you get PKU? Well, first off, PKU results from a mutated phenylalanine hydroxylase or PHA gene, which is found on chromosome number 12. But PKU is what's known as an autosomal recessive disorder, meaning that a person must have 2 copies of an altered gene in order to have the disease. So basically, you must get one gene for the disorder from both parents, and a person with one gene is considered a carrier of the disease, but won't actually have it. So for example, in this picture on the left, you can see that Both parents are carriers for an autosomal recessive disorder and have the genotypes big C, little c, but don't actually have the disease. When they have children together, they have a 25% chance of having an unaffected non-carrier child, a 50% chance of having an unaffected carrier child, and a 25% chance of having an affected child. So shown here is an example of a pedigree I made that shows the inheritance pattern of an autosomal recessive disorder such as PKU. So each circle in the pedigree represents a female and squares represent males. Any of these that have a little line through them means that they have passed away. The horizontal lines connecting the two indicate that they are married, and the vertical lines show the children that the pair has had. Finally, those who have PKU are shown by a red dot. I won't go through the entire pedigree, but you can see how different combinations of genotypes can result in different genotypes for the children. In order to have PKU, someone must have the genotype of little p, little p. Like for example, Trish and Greg here at the top left, who are both carriers for PKU, have a 25% chance of having a child with PKU. While below them, Chris and Sam, who both have PKU, have a 100% chance that a child of theirs will have PKU, and this is possibly why they decided not to have children. Tom, who is a carrier for the disease, and Katie, who has a disease, has a 50% chance of having a child with PKU. So, how does someone get tested for PKU? Well, in the United States, PKU is tested for as part of a mandatory newborn screening test, and therefore a majority of the cases are diagnosed at birth. This screening takes place within the first 72 hours after birth and is done by obtaining a sample of blood from the heel of a newborn. The phenylalanine and tyrosine levels of the sample are then tested from that blood test. If the screening comes back as abnormal, then additional confirmatory tests may be needed, including checking the urine for harmful acids and toxins. Additionally, although PKU is normally tested for at birth, it can be tested on individuals of any age by simply obtaining a blood sample. And PKU was the first disease to be identified using these newborn screenings, and since then we have seen a dramatic expansion in the number of conditions tested for during these screenings. In 1960, the microbiologist Robert Guthrie developed an inexpensive, sensitive, and simple bacterial inhibition assay that could be administered a few days after birth. So how do we treat PKU? So although there is no cure for PKU, treatment can prevent any health problems. So the first line of treatment for people with PKU is to follow a strict diet, and that limits any foods with phenylalanine and aspartame sweetener for the entirety of their life. So this diet also needs to be followed starting as soon after birth as possible. And some foods to limit include high protein foods such as milk and cheese, eggs, nuts, soybeans, and meat, and any drinks or medications containing aspartame. Aspartame releases phenylalanine when it's digested, so it raises the level of phenylalanine in a person's blood. Another treatment option is enzyme replacement therapies and medications. They can also be used to help the body break down the phenylalanine levels in the body. The enzyme replacement therapy is normally done using an intravenous infusion of solution containing the enzyme. And then finally, supplements, including special formulas for infants, may need to be used to make sure they are getting enough protein. Some interesting facts that I found while I was doing this project. So 2 days from now, December 3rd, is National PKU Awareness Day. PKU is actually a very rare disease with less than 20,000 US cases per year. And PKU is rare in African Americans and Jews of Ashkenazi ancestry. And finally, here are my references. Thank you, everybody.